Hello, my friends, and I want to welcome you to another episode of Coffee with Tea on Confidence Strides. I'm your host, Tonia, and I want to welcome our beautiful guest today, Miss Ruth Medlin. She is she says in her words, she's an entrepreneurial leadership, and watch her light up with enthusiasm. She has a passion for helping solopreneurs and entrepreneurs find their leadership voice. And after years of working with leaders in her home country, Ruth decided to become an entrepreneur herself and learn to lead herself in her own consulting business. Miss Ruth is the founder and co-founder of the influencer community, and she does Flourish in North, and she is a speaker and handles workshops. And I would love to welcome Miss Ruth Medlin, and we're going to talk about how to keep our rational self during these crazy times and how to keep an upbeat, positive attitude during these times. So I would like to welcome our guest, Miss Ruth Medlin. Thank you for your coming on and sharing your knowledge and wisdom.
Oh my goodness. Well, thank you, Tonia, for inviting me on your program. I just love what you're doing. And I loved your title. I think Coffee with Tea is just so creative and inventive. And I just admire you for everything that you do. And so I was honored when you invited me on your program. So thanks for having me, of course. Yes.
Of course. Thank you. You are, like I said, I've watched you. I've known you through the eWomen Community Network, and I know you have a wealth of knowledge to share with a lot of the women that come into the business. It's basically about networking and stuff like that. And I know a key to networking is really getting to know the inner person. So watching you basically share your wisdom amongst the group is amazing. So basically, what would you say is a key to keeping ourselves positive during these times? You know, a lot of people can get caught up in the conundrum of, you know, boredom, but how do you stay positive, or what would you say stay positive?
Right. Well, I think it is, it's a real testament to folks all across the United States who are doing so many good things about, adhering to sheltering in place, staying in their homes, social distancing. I think it is, I've often said that in the worst of times, it brings out the best in people. And I really do see so many positive things that are going on, not just in our fair city of Cincinnati, but gosh, all across the United States. So I think a lot of us are doing a lot of good things. And one of the things that, talking about staying positive, a couple of 3 weeks ago, we were told, let's shelter in place for a couple of weeks and see how it goes. And so we did that. And then, now we're being asked to shelter in place for another 4.5 weeks. And, that can be kind of daunting when you stop and think about it, because 2 weeks was real doable, and then add on another 4.5 weeks and it may not sound so doable anymore. But I think that, look, we're in this together. We're almost halfway there. We're being told by our governor and Dr. Acton daily that, we're flattening the curve by doing our part. So, I think, to me, that keeps me really positive, just thinking, well, hey, I'm part of that whole system that is helping to lessen the spread of coronavirus and keep, just keep on doing what you're doing. Now, I personally, I'm an introvert. I know you'd never think that, right? But I'm an introvert. And so for me, staying at home is kind of a joy, kind of a pleasure. And I can connect with people through Zoom calls and FaceTime and all that kind of stuff. So I'm really like kind of okay with everything, except that I told one of my friends this morning, I said, I really miss going out on Friday night for happy hour. That's one thing I miss. I miss seeing my friends to give them hugs. And I really miss like going out to eat. That's one of the things, a couple of 3 things there. But all that being said, let's spend a few minutes talking about what we can do, sheltering in place. So I heard this on the news yesterday, and I thought this is such a great story, right? So one of the things that is being sold a lot of are jigsaw puzzles. And I remember as a little kid, my mom would buy me, I'm sure they were, you know, fewer tiles than, I don't know, fewer than 100. I'm sure as a kid, you don't have that attention span. But I'm hearing that this company that makes them, they're flying off the shelves because people are recognizing that, you know, it's a family activity. It's something that we can do together. It takes time to build a jigsaw puzzle, especially like some of the 1,000 or 1,500 piece jigsaw puzzles. So you just can't do it in one session. And once you've got it finished, you know, it really looks like a work of art. It represents a lot of work and effort. It's a joint effort. It's not just one person doing it usually. So I thought, well, my gosh, what a great thing. And jigsaw puzzles are what? They're like basically pretty inexpensive. You may even have some in your basement or your garage that you can certainly put together. Again, there's no law against putting together jigsaw puzzles more than one time. And what a great activity. The other thing I will say is, you know, what helps me the most is getting outside and walking. I live in a neighborhood that is, we don't have sidewalks in our neighborhood. So we have to walk kind of in the street. But you know what I've discovered, Tonia? I know people are like, oh my God, there are so many cute dogs in this neighborhood of mine. I see so many people out walking their dogs, right? All different times of the day. And what a great conversation starter. I mean, we're walking and we're certainly keeping social distance in place. But, you know, I'm like, hi, what a cute dog you have. What's its name? And, you know, we're starting a conversation with neighbors that maybe you just see them to kind of wave at them, or you're driving past their house and, you know, you wave from your car and they wave from theirs. But do I know their names? No, probably not. But, you know, through dog walking, we are getting connected again. And I just think that's so cool. You know, like animals can always kind of bring people together. So that's one thing. Two things is get a jigsaw puzzle and put it together with your family, and go out and walk. If you don't have a dog, it's okay. Somebody else does, and they'll chat with you. And then the third thing, and I know I'm going to be, I think I'm going to be in the minority on this one, but I love to cook. Flourish and Nourish, wouldn't you know, mastermind dinner events. Of course I love to cook. But this time, it's been so interesting to me because I am looking at food differently. Like, you know, we want to keep our immune systems up, and we want to keep healthy, and, you know, all those kinds of things. And so I'm looking at even lower calorie ways to, you know, make things. So instead of doing fried chicken, I'm baking chicken. Instead of doing mashed potatoes, I'm doing a baked potato. So I'm trying to do things that are still really good tasting, but they are a healthier, a lower cal choice. So those are just, you know, three things. I'm trying to, here's a fourth thing. I'm not going to let you talk, Tonia. I'm just going to keep going. So here's a fourth thing. I try to limit my intake of news to about the coronavirus to about 30 minutes a day. When it first all started happening, you know, I think we were all kind of like glued to our televisions or our iPads or something, and we were watching, you know, everything just unfold. And, you know, I just find like just at the end of the day, I just kind of need maybe like a, what I'd call is like a recap, like no longer than about 30 minutes of this is what happened, or this is what was said, or you know, whatever. And then I'm kind of done with it. If I want more news, I can obviously go to my computer and, you know, look things up. But I find that limiting myself to about 30 minutes a day of the news of the day is good for me. And, oh, here's a fifth thing. Sorry, keep going. Fifth thing, thank God for HGTV. I am telling you, you know, when the going gets tough, or when it was, you know, it was cold and rainy a couple of days last week, and I just didn't kind of feel like I wanted to get out and walk. I just turn over to HGTV. And you know what, Tonia, I don't care how many times I've seen episodes of the Property Brothers. I don't care how many times I've seen Fixer Upper with Chip and Joanna. I don't care if I've seen the same episode, I don't know, multiple times. It's just a great stress reliever for me. And I get such good ideas, you know, I'm like, wow, how come I don't fluff my pillows that way? I think I could do that. I could do the chop and, you know, so HGTV is like a savior to me right now, because I'm just like, you know, it's a good way to like get out of your zone for a little while and kind of just, you know, relax and enjoy what all is going on within the HGTV community. So there's, I don't know, I lost track, 5 or 6 things.
I think you gave me 5, but let me give you one that I like.
Okay.
I love the fact when you talk about getting outside. Like you said, I agree with you with the dogs. I have 2 dogs, so it's a little bit more of a challenge for me, but it does get conversations going, which I had a neighbor, we sat out, I say maybe 30 minutes just talking, and of course keeping our distance, but I got to know people in my neighborhood that I've never would have seen before or talked before. So, you know, you can always try to find the positive in things.
Right.
And then, like you said, exercise. There's a great way to get some, you know, vitamin D, get out there in the sun and boost up your immune system. So, yeah,
absolutely.
those are some great.
You know what? Here's another thing. I mean, not that we would pick or be able to choose, but you know what? Thank God that the coronavirus hit us in the springtime, right? Because what if it had hit us last winter when it was dark and cold and you know, snowy or rainy or whatever, and we couldn't get out of doors as often. So, you know, if there's a silver lining in this, you know, at least that it's, you know, it's daylight saving time. It's a lot of nice sunny days. You can really, you know, if you're, you know, sheltered in place with family members, outside is a good place to be sometimes if you're tired of your family members. And walking dogs is the best excuse I can think of to just get outside, to just be, you know, outdoors. So the other thing is, let's talk about business now. I've told you all everything else, so let's talk about business now. You know, this is a very tough time on small business owners, on entrepreneurs, on solopreneurs. One of my friends owns a brick and mortar business up in Hamilton. You may have heard of it, Petals and Wicks, and they sell candles. And it's Sherry and Mike Hoskins, lovely couple. I just love them to death. Well, of course, they've been asked to shutter their business because it's considered non-essential, right? So their doors have been closed, I don't know, maybe 2.5 or 3 weeks now, I'm not quite sure. But you know what Sherry Hoskins is doing? And I think this is like such a positive thing to think about. She is posting daily, several times a day on social media. Look what's happening at Petals and Wicks when we reopen. We've got this scheduled, we've got that scheduled. She's giving tips for, she even sells DIY kits on doing your own candles at home, so she can ship those to you as an example. She did a huge collage of all the photographs that she's taken throughout the years, and she did a big collage in the front window of her shop in the shape of a heart. And so you can actually, you know, walk up to the window and you may be able to see yourself in one of the photographs. She is just the most positive person I know. And instead of, you know, oh, woe is me, I mean, she is just really, really doing things. And she's also showcasing other people in Hamilton, other businesses in Hamilton, saying, you know, kudos to, there's a new, fairly new restaurant that obviously they've had to, you know, close, but they've pivoted and are doing takeout meals. And, you know, so she's talking about the great food that they got the other night. And, you know, she is, I told her, I said, you are like the spokesperson for Hamilton. You should be, you know, the mayor or something, because you just are so positive. But you know what, Tonia, I think that's what we really need to do. The more we can talk about what we're going to do when this is over, or the more we can connect with our current clients. Every day I'm trying to call at least 3 people, and I'm just calling and I'm saying, hi, it's Ruth, how are you doing? What's going on? You know, and I'm finding out the most interesting things about people because they're just willing, they're so, what do you call that, craving to talk, you know. So definitely keeping a positive attitude, telling people what you're going to be doing once this is over, inviting people, you know, into your business community. I think that's, you know, those are 3 great things that we can do. And listen, it doesn't cost you anything to do that. You know, you can pick up a phone, you can put it on social media. It's not costing you anything. So why not keep that momentum up? And you know what? People are going to remember you for that. People are going to remember you for being positive and having a can-do attitude, as opposed to people that are, you know, just kind of letting things go, you know, or not really engaging. So I think that's so important to do.
Definitely, like you said, it's like I always try to figure out, it makes you more creative because you have to start thinking out of the box. Well, how can I keep this business going if I, you know, if the circumstances were differently? So that's why I said this is exactly how Coffee with Tea came about, because I'm thinking this is a platform. So I thought, instead of me showcasing myself, why not showcase what other people are doing, or, you know, continue this conversation. So I like I said, I think this makes you step back and examine different pathways that you can grow your business. And it's amazing what you can come up with, and when you have the quiet time to just think, because I'm sure Miss Sherry and Petals and Wicks would have never thought about showcasing Hamilton if this sort of situation didn't come about. So I mean, it's amazing. Like I shared with somebody, and I've shared it with other people, that I think it was Einstein. He discovered his law of relativity during the plague. So you never know what this is causing you to rethink and reevaluate. So, you know, like I said, it's harder than you think, but it can be done.
Right. I was talking to one of my friends this morning, and you know, I was checking on her, number one, because of the storm last night. And she lives in an apartment, so she doesn't have access to a basement. So I was, you know, I just want to check and make sure that she was okay. And then we got to talking, and I said, well, how are you doing, you know, with your business? And she said, you know what I discovered? She said, I have everything I need. And I thought, wow, that's profound, you know, because she always used to say things like, you know, when I retire, I'm gonna go buy a cabin and live off the grid. I'm gonna go buy a cabin in the woods and live off the grid. And she said, you know what I've discovered? She said, I have everything I need right here. And she lives in this cute little apartment that's in a very wooded area, lots of places to walk, and a little stream in back and everything. And she said, you know, I don't need to go anywhere. I have everything I need right here. And so I think that it is really causing a lot of us to reflect, you know, like sometimes I think we're a very consumer-oriented society, you know, like buy, spend. And I think in some instances, it really is causing us to say, you know what, go take a look in your closet. You know, people are always like, buy more clothes, buy more. That's me. I'm like, buy more clothes. And go take a look in your closet, and really, if you never bought another piece of clothing, you know, you would probably be okay. So I love the reflection piece of it. And maybe it's a way for us to kind of slow down a little bit too, to not be so frenetic or so, you know, on the move or on the go, or got to keep doing. Maybe it's just a time to kind of, you know, take a deep breath, calm down. And, you know, I think one of the last things I'd say is journaling right now is so important, because we're going to forget a lot of our feelings. After this is all over, we'll forget some of the feelings that we had. But really journaling and really, you know, getting to the heart and soul of the matter, I think is a very important thing to do as well. So I think I will end on that piece of it, because don't get me started on anything else. So, there we go.
Ms. Ruth, we are under the 2-minute wrap-up area, and I just wanted to know, before we wrap up, can you tell us where we can find more information about you and some of your services and maybe any special events that you have coming up?
Yes, thank you for asking. I have a website, ruthmedlinconsulting.com. I have a second website, Influencer Community, and the Influencer Community website is theicnetwork.com. And, you know, I was going to have a Easter, not on Easter proper, but I was going to have a Easter brunch for my Flourish and Nourish group. Well, obviously that can't happen now, but I'm pivoting, and I am going to do a Flourish and Nourish virtual meal on Zoom. And I'm just going to ask people, you know, tell us about your favorite dish, tell us about your memories of Easter or holidays, and everybody's invited. I mean, you know, it's just going to be a fun time. We won't be together, you know, socially this way, but we will be together. So yeah, thanks for asking.
Thank you. My pleasure. And I want to say thank you for your time and your wisdom and your insight that you shared with us. And anybody who's watching with us, I'm definitely going to have all her links put into the comments so you can follow up with her. And I also want to say thank you for your time. And before I close it out, make sure you like, share, and subscribe the videos. And make sure that you follow us on Facebook at confidencerise.com. And we are also on Anchor with 6 programs, including Spotify. And with that, I'd like to say thank you, Ruth, for your time, for coming on. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
And I'm going to close it out and say thank you, and check back next week for another new episode of Coffee with Tea. Thank you.